All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Here's what I can promise you guys. Today is going to be a class like you've never attended before. And that's not hype. I just promise you the things that we're going to cover with you today are dramatically different than what you've ever been on. Because what we're going to talk about today is how we take listings and how we focus on it. And the truth is, guys, we're really going to talk about how you crush all of the competition out there by offering zero seller commissions. You know, so a Freudian slip there, I guess. You offer zero seller commissions, but don't worry, you still get 6% at closing. So I know that sounds complicated and some things like that. It definitely gets people's attention, but don't sweat it. We're going to go through how all that works today. So what we're going to do is I just want to give you a little bit of housekeeping. We're both recording this, or I'm sorry, you know what? Let me start this all over, guys. That sucked.
You got it.
Yep, that just sucked.
We all have to get that out of the way.
I know when they suck and when they don't suck. All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time, but here's what I can promise you. We're going to deliver some content to you that you've never seen before. It's going to change the way you think about your real estate business. It's going to change the way you would actually start to list properties if you can implement that. And what it's all designed to do, folks, is very simple. It's designed to crush the competition out there. And we're going to talk about the different competitors that we're all dealing with. But we're going to do it with a very powerful statement in that we can take an offer to sell somebody's home. It is zero seller commission, yet you're still going to get paid 6%. So I know that gets confusing because we get a lot of comments in the emails like, hey, this is impossible. It sounds too good to be true. I promise, A, it's true, and B, we do it all the time. So we're going to go through that today, and I'm going to walk you through the exact platform and system. So a couple different things, some housekeeping stuff. We're going to be doing this as a live stream, and we have people in live facilities, where we still have meetings. And so you're going to see things a little bit different. When I first start, you're going to see a switch over. You might have a black screen for 10 seconds. Don't sweat it. It's okay. We're just taking and switching over the technology. And then the second thing is that if you're watching this online, there will be a chat box for you to use. So feel free to ask questions. We're going to have somebody monitor it. You guys just won't be able to see the questions, unfortunately, because we're doing a combination of live and live stream. So, feel free to ask the questions. We'll answer them as we go through it. But also, if we have to, we'll answer them at the end. So don't sweat that, okay? So with that, let me just take and check the technology. Joseph, you're there. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great. Give me 1 second. I'm going to add one more stream here.
Okay. And then, Robert, you can hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly, Bob.
All right, awesome.
And we're on now, Bob. We're good. We're good with all of them.
So technology-wise, we're good. So do me a quick favor, folks. Let me know. Just put it in the chat box. If you can hear me, and you should be able to see the screen where it says how to crush all of your competition, just throw it in the chat box for me if you're watching this online, and let me know that we're good to go, and then we'll get started. All right, perfect. Starting to see that come through. So we're good. The technology's good. So, guys, we're going to switch over. So if you get a little bit of a black screen, don't sweat it. We'll be right there, okay? So what I'd like to do today, folks, is think about it from a perspective of cash flow. One of the things you're going to hear me talk about that you don't hear in the real estate industry very often is cash flow and personal wealth. So what I'd like you to do for a minute is imagine what would happen to your cash flow if you started to focus 100% of your efforts on listings and you only accepted referral fees on all the buyers. So think about it. All I do are listings, and all the buyers I take a referral fee on. Well, what would happen to your cash flow if you did that? Number two, if you had a listing system that clearly would prove to sellers how you net the highest amount of money for them. Can we all agree that the number one thing a seller cares about is how much money they put in their pocket at closing? The problem with that, folks, is we can tell them all day long what we do, but people are visual learners. They need to see it. They need to touch it. And they need to have some proof that you actually can net the highest amount of money. Well, imagine having a system like that. And then you were able to eliminate the hassle from the sales process, and you had your listings under contract currently in 7 days, but in a normal market, we do 14 days. Because well, think of it this way, folks. While everybody wants the most amount of money, there's no question, they also don't want headache and hassle, and they want it done quick. Well, what is it that you're currently doing that allows your sellers to be able to have that happen for them? So we're going to walk you through that. Then you're able to drive hundreds of potential buyers to their home with your marketing, which means, guys, the days of you buying Zillow leads and Realtor.com leads and Facebook leads, those are over, right? So think of it this way. Your cash flow goes up and your expenses go down, which leaves you more money. So we're going to talk about and show you how to do that. And then you had an open and transparent way to accept offers that eliminated the highest and best blind offer debacle. And I call it a debacle because it's a nightmare for buyers agents. It's a nightmare for buyers. And the truth is, guys, we leave thousands of dollars in lost equity on the table. And I'm going to walk you through how that happens as we go through this. So what if we could do all that? What would happen to your cash flow? Put it in the chat box for me and let me know what you think. If you were doing listings only, took referral fees from the buyers, and you had a system that would allow you to do all those other things, what would it do for you? Cool. Blow my business up. Be amazing. Awesome. So my challenge for you today, though, in order to do that, is going to be to start to think outside the box. Because, folks, here's the thing. In today's world, real estate is changing at warp speed, right? Things can change from day to day, week to week, and month to month. The problem is real estate agents really don't do that. They just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Well, I'm going to tell you the things I'm going to show you today are going to challenge the things that you believe, and it's going to require you to have an open mind to start doing your business differently. Because I'm assuming you're on this call, and again, I'm assuming because you're not happy with some facet of your business. It might be the amount of production, but mostly that relates to cash flow. You're not happy in some way with the amount of money that you're making and how hard you have to work to do it. Well, guys, if you just keep doing the same old stuff, you're just going to keep having the same old results, right? So there's 3 questions that I want to challenge you to think about today, because here's the thing, guys. Sellers think this, but they don't have the nerve to ask you. And the reason that I know that they think it is because I go out on listing appointments all the time. And so here's the first question that sellers think but never want to ask you. Well, why do we have to pay the buyer's agent? Now, you can give them the real estate question. Well, you actually don't do it. I do it for my commission. And the truth is they don't get that. They just think, well, wait a second. I'm paying this 6% commission, and I got to pay a buyer's agent whose job is to negotiate to take as much money away from me as possible. And the reality is, folks, it's true, right? The legal responsibility of a buyer's agent is to take and negotiate the best terms and price for the buyer. Yet the seller pays them. Why does it work that way? You guys may want to think about it, right? Now, here's the thing. You may go, well, whatever. That's just the way it's always been done. Well, here's the thing, guys. The way it's always been done is just not good enough. And if you need a little bit of incentive, well, here's the incentive. This lawsuit has been going on about a year now, where the seller started suing NAR and Reality and Home Services. And it doesn't matter what company you're with. We're all going to get dragged into it. And the sellers are saying, wait a minute, we're going to court going, wait a second, why do I have to pay the buyer? And you go, well, yeah, whatever, it's a lawsuit. Well, just so you know, about 2 weeks ago, a federal judge in Chicago denied the motion of NAR to dismiss that lawsuit. And basically, when you read her instructions, basically they told NAR, y'all better figure it out because you guys have a problem. Because you're making the seller pay for the buyer's commission, and that's an issue. So it's not going away, folks. And even if it did, now the consumers are asking these questions. You better be prepared to answer it. And in case you don't think it's hitting the real estate business already, this is a listing for one of my agents in Tacoma, Washington, where, well, they're not even offering a buyer broker commission. How are you going to deal with that change in the marketplace, guys? Because, well, it's happening right now. This isn't something we're conjecturing is going to happen. It's happening right now. Then, well, we pay the buyer's agent. That's an issue. Well, why are you forcing me to set the price of my home up front? I want you to think about this one. Again, outside the box, can we agree that the minute you put a price on a house, let's call it $300,000, the seller's going to get a little bit less or a little bit more, but that's it. So why do we take and have to set an arbitrary price based on comps, right, in our professional opinion, and then the seller's going to get a little bit more, a little bit less? Why do you do that to your people? What if there was a way where I could set a starting price and drive it higher to maximize the amount of cash that a seller nets at closing? And again, the answer can't be, well, this is just always the way it's been done, because it's not good enough in today's world. And then finally, why isn't the transaction more transparent? And aren't highest and best blind offers costing us thousands of dollars? Well, here's what I'd like you to think about, folks. Put your buyer's agent hat on right now, and your buyer comes to you and they go, well, there's 5 offers on this house. What should we offer for it, Bob? Bob goes, well, I can't tell you that because, well, I don't know what the other people are offering. In essence, folks, what we told the people is, well, we can't give you any advice. It's like putting them into a room, locking the door and saying, figure it out. And now they're sitting in this room trying to figure out what they'll offer. But at the end of the day, aren't they sitting there going, well, I want to offer an aggressive price, but I don't want to overpay? How many of you guys on the call right now, put it in the chat box for me, have had this one happen? Your buyer put in an offer, they didn't get it. Let's say they put in 305 on a multiple offer for 300,000, and they didn't get it. And they said he was like, we were thinking about doing 310, but we didn't want to overpay. Put it in the chat box. Raise your hand for me. Let me know, has that happened to you? Well, guess what, folks? It happens all the time. And that extra money that they were willing to pay, the seller's missing out on it. What if we could wring every penny of equity out of a property as possible? What if you had a way to do that? Well, we're going to walk you through what we do to ensure that. So if you think none of that stuff's happening, by the way, have you guys seen that Redfin now allows people to go online and submit their offers without you as an agent? Remember I said real estate's changing at warp speed every day? Well, now people are going online to submit offers to Redfin. Well, that's a change in the market. Well, what are you doing to compete with that, right? Well, who am I and why should you care about what I have to say? That's a good question. My name is Bob Bangold. I've been doing this for 28 years. I started as a lender, 23 years as a top producing realtor. I built the fastest growing exit realty franchise in their history. And I owned my own brokerage for 9 years. I figured out real fast why they call you the broker, right? The word broken there is in there for a reason. I developed $1 million per year blueprint for my team to generate listings using a revolutionary platform in marketing that I'm going to share with you today. I coach a 628 agent team. It actually grows by the day. It's 637 as we speak now, to build their personal net worth by taking more listings, building buyer teams to handle the enormous amount of buyer leads that they generate, and create referral fee payments in excess of 100 every month. Last month, we got 333 referral fees. My goal is to help 1,000 agents become cash flow millionaires in the next 24 months. So where have you ever been to a webinar that says, hey, I want to turn somebody into a cash flow millionaire in 24 months in the real estate business, right? You just don't hear that. So who's going to benefit from this class? Well, first of all, if you're a listing agent and you're looking to stay ahead of the competition, you're in the right place. If you're a buyer's agent saying, hey, I've had enough of this buyer agent stuff, I'm going to look to transition to a listing agent, you're in the right place. And then if you're an implementer, right, you're in the right place. Because, guys, this isn't going to happen on its own. So full disclosure, it doesn't happen on its own. Agents willing to work. The key word there is work to build their business, right? And so this is going to require some work and effort. Or maybe you're a team leader, or you're an agent looking to leverage your listings to build a team, or maybe even your own brokerage. Because, guys, what this class isn't is some golden ticket where you roll out of bed and you post a couple things on Facebook and you make $1 million a year. It doesn't work like that. I don't know. I'm joined today by Joseph and Robert, two very, very successful real estate agents that make very, very good money. Joseph and Robert, you guys don't roll out of bed and like throw a couple tweets up and a couple Facebook posts and you just got millions of dollars rolling in, do you?
Takes work.
Yeah, Bob, I tell you, it is work. Joseph's right.
And so at the end of the day, folks, I'm just giving you this warning. If you're just looking for the magic bullet, that, you know, the golden ticket where you're just going to become a millionaire without any effort, today's class is not it, right? So do me a favor. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff with you. It's outside the box. You're going to hear from Joseph. You're going to hear from Robert. And do me a favor, just invest this time in your business. So if you're watching this online, you know, close your door, turn off your email, turn off your phone. If you're in a room, turn off your phone. Don't be reading email. Because here's the thing. If you miss a little, you're going to miss a lot. And I'm going to give you some concepts today that are definitely outside the box. And, well, Robert and Joseph can attest, sometimes real estate agents struggle to understand the concept, don't they, guys?
Absolutely.
So if you guys miss a little, you miss a lot, right? So easy question for you. Which lead would you rather have? Number one would be a Facebook lead. Number two would be a Zillow lead. Or number three would be a seller who's raised their hand and said, hey, I want to sell my house. So put it in the chat box for me. 1, 2, or 3. All right, so everybody's putting in 3. I got to be honest with you guys, nobody's ever put in 1 or 2. So here's my question. If you all are looking for sellers and that would be your number one choice of business, why are you screwing around spending money on buyer leads? Why don't you just focus on listings? If that's your number one preference for leads, why don't we just blow off the other stuff and get really good at listings, right? Because real estate is a very simple business. If you do a few things and focus on them really, really well. And so, for example, I will tell you, I do a lot of live things. About 90% of the real estate agents don't even have a listing presentation. Well, how can you say you're a listing agent if you don't even know what you're going to talk about when you go into somebody's house? So if we just did a little bit, 100% focus on listings, the whole world's going to be a lot better. Because here's the fact, guys. This has been true for decades and decades. The most profitable and efficient real estate business any agent can create is to carry at least 10 listings every day of the year. Meaning, hey, you take and carry 10, you close 6, you got to add 6 more to the pipeline. If you did that, folks, what would happen to your cash flow? If that's the kind of business you had, what would your cash flow be like? And if you doubt that that's how it works, this is a book. It's 20 years old now. Make no mistake about it. Gary Keller went out and interviewed the top 50 agents at this time in like the year 2000, and he looked for commonality. What do these agents, the top 50, all have in common? He found 2 things. Number one, they were all listing agents. They had buyers that handled the buyers and paid them a referral fee. And second is they did a great job at managing their database. So I'm not here to talk about database today, but I will tell you it's really important. I'm here to talk about and say, guys, if you want to model a business where the agents, the top 50 agents in the country, focus on listings, why in the world would all of these agents be doing anything other than that? We have a documented, proven plan over decades. Why don't we just do what they did? The problem is now we got a whole lot of competition, a whole lot of changes, which we're going to address today, right? This is a book from 1983. I had to struggle hard to find this on Google. Tom Hopkins wrote this book in 1983, How to Master the Art of Listing. And what he said is the salesperson that controls the listing inventory will generate the most amount of income. So you need to specialize in the listing arena. Guys, there's too much evidence that says this is the way we should be running our business. So here's the $1 million question for you. What is your elevator speech? If somebody starts talking to you about listing their property, what's your unique selling proposition? Well, what does that mean? So you might want to grab a screenshot, take a picture, write it down, whatever it is. Here's the questions all real estate agents have to answer. What benefits do you offer to prospective sellers that absolutely and without hesitation compels them to list with you instead of a mega team, a discount broker, somebody like a HomeLight, or what's the Ideal Agent, Zillow, Opendoor, OfferPad, and the proverbial, oh, my brother-in-law is a real estate agent, he's going to sell it for me for free. Guys, what do you say to that? And if you get nothing else from today's class, you better be able to answer that. Otherwise, guess what? You'll never really be a real effective listing agent. And, well, remember I told you got to think outside the box? You can't do what everybody else is doing. So I'm going to give you what our team's answer to this question is. So, again, we have a 637 agent team, 36 states, 4 provinces of Canada, and England. Our team's unique selling proposition is very simple. We'll sell your home for the most amount of money, guaranteed, in 7 to 14 days, and you'll pay 0 commission. Folks, would that get you more attention from a FSBO, an expired, a canceled? I will tell you it does, and I'm going to give you proof of it, right? But let's talk about this 0 commission thing. So let's get that one out of the way because I know everybody's freaking out about it. Who really pays the commission in a real estate transaction? Is it really the seller, folks? Or tell me if this is the conversation you have inside of somebody's house with them. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are you thinking of listing the house for? And let's say they go, well, 300. You go, great. How'd you come up with that? Well, it was on Zillow and it was on Redfin, and my neighbor told me he sold his house for 305 and he had a pink kitchen. So I figured 300 is a piece of cake. And then, well, I figured with commission and closing costs, I'd net about 279, and I need 275 to move where I'm going. So I need to get at least 275. And so I factored in all that other stuff. So 300 is the number for me. Guys, how many times has that happened to you? Joseph, Robert, isn't that pretty much the conversation you used to have with people?
It's usually a variation of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a verbatim, right?
Yeah, most people have in their mind what they're looking to extract out of their home. And of course, they pull all the other resources in. But yeah, usually it really comes down to their bottom line.
They only care about the net, folks. So here's the thing. We simply raise the price to cover the commission because the buyer just pays for it in the form of a higher price. It's kind of like all the taxes that we talk about. Oh, we're going to raise the taxes and businesses are going to pay more money. Folks, the business doesn't pay any more money. They just simply pay their employees less and raise the price of their goods. The company doesn't pay the taxes. We do. Well, it's no different in a real estate transaction. The seller raises the price to cover the commission. So instead of hiding that fact, why don't we be open and transparent about it? Because it's a conversation we need to start having with people. And if you doubt me, this from the 2019 NAR profile of home buyers and sellers. Here's a few numbers that shocked me. Generally, real estate agents were compensated through the seller at 55%, whereas 21% of agents were compensated by the buyer only, and then the 24% left in the middle were a combination of buyer and seller. When the agent was compensated by the buyer, they were most commonly paid a percentage of the sales price as opposed to a flat fee. Well, folks, if I would have asked you before I shared that, I promise you 99.9% of you would have said, oh yeah, the seller pays it. Well, the reality in today's real estate market, the seller's not paying it. They're only paying it half of the time. And then 21%, the buyers are paying for it. And then 24%, it's a combination of both. Well, the other thing when you read this NAR profile of home buyers and sellers, and it's been like this for decades, the number one reason that people hire real estate agents because the process is confusing. And the number one thing they hate about working with the real estate agent is they don't understand how the real estate agent works and how we get paid. And if you doubt it, how many times has a buyer said, well, how do you get paid? Let's start having an open and transparent conversation with people about how the transaction really works and how we get paid. Now, I've had some agents argue with me. He's like, well, I don't want them to understand how I get paid. Here's the bad news, guys. They see it on the closing statement. Why not address it up front? Because this is going on, right? And then the next part of it. Who really decides the value of a home? This is a slide directly from my son's listing presentation. So inside somebody's house, this is a question I ask. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, who's really going to decide the value of your home? Is it you? Let's be honest, because you need to net $275,000. Does that mean anything to a buyer? And they go, well, no. Well, and I don't. I'm going to just simply show you what your neighbor sold the house for, and it'll give you a good range. But, well, what if somebody was willing to pay more for your house? Well, we wouldn't get that from the comps, would we? Well, and then the appraiser, all the appraiser does is figures out how much the bank is willing to lend. The only person in a real estate transaction who decides value is the buyer. How much is the person who's willing to write a check willing to pay for your home? Well, if that's the case, well, what are you doing to help facilitate that, right? Because think of it this way, guys. If buyers had to compete for prices for homes, sellers would win, right? And as we're doing this class today, well, it's a severe seller's market, and buyers are competing like ridiculously and overpaying. So when buyers compete, sellers win. Well, here's a recent example, guys. This is one of my agents in Utah. He had 133 offers on his property. The final bid was $395,000. It was worth somewhere between $320,000 and $330,000. It was a cabin out in like middle of Utah. They got 133 offers, $395,000. Now, in this case, the buyer was paying cash and understood what it was worth, but he wanted a cabin out in the middle of nowhere in Utah. So full disclosure, that was just a lucky thing. But the real question, guys, when was the last time you had 133 offers on your listing? And, well, gosh, think about that. Remember, we said we've got to prove our results. What if you could share results like that in a listing presentation? And you say, well, guys, here's what it is. I'm going to show you another one in a few minutes, and we had to just backtrack. We sold it for so much money, we couldn't even get it for that. Boy, what a great problem to have, right? So my question for you, my challenge for you is, what are you doing to get buyers to compete for your listings? What's in your marketing plan? What's your system? What's your strategy? Because if I have a plan that I can demonstrate to the seller and you and I are competing for a listing, I'm going to get it every time. So that's a question you're going to have to answer. I'm going to share with you how we do it today. Now, I just gave you some pretty cool facts and some trends and things to understand, but how do we turn that into cash? Because, well, let's be honest, guys, this is about listing and selling real estate and getting paid, right? How do we take what I just shared with you and turn it into cash? Well, let's do the easy one. Here are the targets, the 12 targets that my agents focus on for listings, right? So let's start with the most obvious target, FSBOs. They've already raised their hand, right? FSBO canceled, expired every day, come into the market, raising their hand, say, hey, I want to sell my house. But the FSBO, well, can we agree the only reason that 99% of FSBOs decide to sell without an agent is really about the commission? I mean, Robert, you're doing these all day long, every day, every week. That's
Absolutely.
Right? That's the only thing they care about, right?
That's the only thing they care about.
So we're going to eliminate that because guess what, guys? Here's how it works. How many FSBO appointments could you set? Here's a script. Hey, this is Bob with eXp Realty. Calling to get a little information in your house. Also wanted to see if I brought a buyer to you at a price that was acceptable to you. Will you pay a 3% finder's fee? Now, guys, I don't actually use that real verbiage quite like that. It's more conversational. But I leave this in here because I want to point something out to you. If the seller doesn't want to pay a commission, why would you call them up and say, would you pay a 3% commission? See, the words we use matter. I use the word finder's fee. Doesn't that sound better than commission? And so I want you to understand the words you use are important. They're actually critical. And then I go, well, if I had a platform specifically designed for people just like you, trying to sell a house on their own, save the commission, where you paid zero commission or fees, you get top dollar for your house, you put the maximum amount of money in your pocket as you can. It only takes us 14 days. We drive all the marketing for your house. We control when your home is shown and handle the entire transaction. Can I stop by for about 20 minutes, walk you through the process, and see if your home qualifies? Guys, if you took and called 10 FSBOs today, assuming you get a hold of them, the good news is you won't get a hold of them. I'll tell you why that's good news in a minute. How many appointments out of 10 could you get? Put it in the chat box for me. Whatever number you think. How many appointments? Okay, lots of 10s. Let's not even be that aggressive. A couple of 8s. What if we just said 3? 3 times a week. Or I'm sorry, do that 3 a day, 5 times a week is 15 listing appointments. That's 60 a month. Gosh, even if you screwed them up, guys, that would be a killer, right? So, Robert, how many appointments are you scheduling on average in a week?
I schedule anywhere between 5 and 6 on Tuesday and Thursday, and the same thing on Saturday. So about, I would say, as many as 15.
So 15 appointments a week, folks. Would that change your cash flow? Now, remember I told you, hey, the good news is they won't answer their phone. Here, agents get frustrated with that. Here's my question. If you're an agent if you're a buyer and you're calling a for sale by owner and they don't answer their phone, how will they ever sell a house? So for me, I'm thrilled. I really pay attention to the ones who never answer their phone because, well, they're not going to sell their house. So here's a text message we send out. Hey, this is Ryan with eXp Realty. Sometimes we just go, hey, this is Ryan. Is your home at 123 Main Street still available? When they respond with a yes, say, awesome. Will you pay a 3% finder's fee? I don't care if they say yes, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter to me. But when they respond with anything in the affirmative, I go, awesome and thanks. Hey, we have a platform where we can sell your home in 7 to 14 days. And here in Arizona, we're just saying 7 days right now because it's such a hot market. For more money than you can on your own, I can put more money in your pocket than you can on your own, and I can prove it, and you don't even pay a commission. Now, I don't know if your property qualifies for our platform or this process. I just need to do a quick review by phone. Would you be available at 9:30 tomorrow, 2 o'clock on Friday? That's one way to do it via phone. We do it a little differently and just say, when can I stop by and take 20 minutes and see if your house qualifies? See, now what happens, folks, I'm going into the property and they're expecting me to talk to them about listing their property. It's not like, hey, let me stop by. I may have a buyer for you. Then you got to figure out how to pivot to talk about the listing. Now, that's different, right? But does that really work? Well, that handsome guy is Robert, who's here on the phone with us. So as we do this class today, Robert has 3 homes closing this week. Average purchase price in your market, Robert, is how much?
Just a little over 700.
Boy, that stinks, huh? Just imagine that. He's got 3 more that are in escrow now that aren't scheduled to close this week. And he took 3 more listings in the last 7 days, and he's done all this in the last 30 days. That pretty accurate assessment, Robert?
That's right on the money.
Doing what we just talked about, folks. So you may be sitting there going, oh, that couldn't work. I mean, nobody today in today's world would do that because, well, you're thinking the wrong things, guys. It's time to get outside the box. Now, I guarantee that I know this is a year old, right? It's from September 21st, but I don't take a picture of his calendar every week. Guys, this is what his calendar looks like every Saturday. Right, Robert?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you notice on the bottom, FSBO number 6, I've yet to schedule that at that time of taking this picture, but I ended up scheduling it because my goal is 6 FSBO appointments on Saturday.
What would that do for your cash flow, folks? Right? Norm is one of our agents outside of St. Louis. 9 listings in 8 days using this exact text strategy. Scheduling the appointment. He has an agent that works for him who sends out the text messages and schedules calls for Norm. Curtis took 7 listings in 23 days, doing exactly what I just showed you. Right? Christine booked 2 listing appointments from FSBOs in 2 hours, less than 2 hours of going through the training. Took both of them in 24. Took both listings within 24 hours. It's 1.1 million in listings. She's also in Southern California. Average purchase price about $550. Larry, 2.5 months, 19 listings, 41 buyer broker agreements signed. Let that sit in for a minute, folks. 19 listings. Larry does none of the buyers. He's getting a 30% referral fee on all those transactions. So, guys, here's the question. Would results like that change your life? Robert, has this process completely changed your real estate business?
Without a doubt.
In all the years you've been doing it, I won't tell them, you started when you were 10, so you've been doing it for 30-some years, right? Have you ever had it so easy to go out and take listings?
No, and you know what? Sometimes I sound cocky, but I tell you what, there's no agent out there that doesn't have this platform that can compete with me.
And that's just the fact, guys. So, see, here's the thing we have to recognize, folks. Sellers have options in today's world. They can sell it on their own. They can hire a traditional agent, right? They can hire a mega team. They can hire a discount agent. Well, I didn't even put on there. They could hire a relative. Well, guys, this is the competition that we have out there, right? So we got all these discounters out there like Help You Sell and Redfin and Rex and Homey. Well, all this is out here. What are you saying to compete? So I'll give you an example. Rex and Homey are about $24.95 in Phoenix. Pay $24.95 up front, and that's it. What are you saying to somebody when they go, hey, I'm just going to list it that way? Hey, you can talk that they don't sell for as much money, and you can downgrade them and all that other stuff. Or you could say, well, gosh, Robert, why in the world would you pay $2,500, dog, when I could sell your house and you don't pay anything, and I'm going to get you way more money and way quicker than they ever could do? Why would you pay $2,500 when you don't have to?
Exactly what I say.
And then they go, well, I don't really know. It's like, well, here, if you're really hankering to write a check, just do me a favor, write me a check for $24.95. I'll do that now, and then I still won't charge any commission, and I'll do it this way. That way I got the $2,500 instead of them. We could do that. And they'll laugh and go, are you serious? It's like, no, I'm just joking. Right? We're able to build rapport when we're doing that. Then this is my favorite, Ideal Agent. They're all over TV. I was in North Carolina last week, and this is all over TV. Hey, we'll sell your house for as little as 2%. Well, guys, that didn't include the 3% buyer broker, which is a 5% listing commission, which is, well, 80% of the agents are doing that anyway. It's just that they're marketing. What are you doing to explain that to a consumer? And in case you go, well, you know what, I'm in a small market as I'm listening to this. My daughter's an agent in Wichita, Kansas. Punch in Discount Realtors, Wichita, Kansas, 2.17 million results. So they're everywhere, guys. I did this in Raleigh, North Carolina last week. There was 13.87 million results for Discount Realtors, Raleigh, North Carolina, right? So they're there. Then we got our good friends at Redfin and said, hey, you can just, you know what? You don't even need an agent. Come on in. Write an offer. Give me an offer. Oh, and you know what? If you don't do another agent, well, you're going to save $8,685 in fees. Wow. How are you competing with that one, guys? And then, well, look at this, how they take and get these offers. We'll just tell you, hey, if you want to list below 573, well, the bottom 35% are offering that, and the top 30% are offering 584.8. So nobody's going to offer less than that. But, well, guess what, guys? They don't have any ability to include an escalation clause or raise your bid. You're still bidding blind. That stinks. Now I don't have an escalation clause. See, you have to know what your competition is doing and how they're working in order to compete with them. Make sense? Type in the chat box for me. Let me know that that makes sense. You have all this competition. You have to know how it works. Have Rex over to your house. Have Homie over to your house. Have a Redfin agent over to your house and hear their pitch. Then you know how to compete with them, right? Then the last one, well, you could sell to an iBuyer. We got our Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow and We Buy Ugly Houses. They're all out there, right? Well, maybe you're in a market, well, like Wichita, where Open Door and all them aren't there. Well, guess what, guys? I did the same thing. These are all professional home buyers in Wichita, Kansas. They're everywhere. And here's the bad news. Here's what COVID brought about. Open Door and OfferPad shut down, and Zillow offers shut down. Well, when they came out of COVID, they said, well, hey, all these leads that we're getting for selling houses where they won't take our goofy offer and let us steal their equity, what if we list it with them for 5%? Instead of 6%, and oh, by the way, we'll paint and do their carpeting, clean their carpeting, and stage their house for them, all for 5%. How are you competing with that? Got to get outside the box, folks. Even the lenders are putting their hands into our pocket. Quicken Loans, right, Rocket Mortgage, created what they call Rocket Homes. They have their own real estate division. So guess what? They're marketing their database, which could be your clients, to be able to take and start working with them on the real estate side. Well, then it gets worse, guys. If you've ever heard the term mortgage trigger leads, get with your lender and verify it's true. Every time somebody pulls a mortgage credit report, within seconds, that lead is sold to about 50 different lenders. So if your people are out there starting to shop for a loan, Quicken Loans is going to get that data and start calling them, and then Rocket Realty is going to get that lead, and then both the real estate and the mortgage side are going to be calling them. And well, wait, it gets even worse, because if your client has State Farm insurance, State Farm is taking and selling their database of clientele in exchange for a referral fee on the mortgage side. So if your clients have State Farm insurance, now you got Rocket Homes marketing to your clients. So why do I share all this with you guys? Well, because, well, I know you don't like change. But guess what? You're going to like being irrelevant a heck of a lot less. So my answer for you is change before you're forced to. The purpose of all that information was to scare you into saying, hey, I better start to work differently before I am forced to, right? Here's an article from a couple of weeks ago from Inman saying, hey, agents who don't embrace change will go the way of the dodo. If you don't know what dodo is, well, that's because nobody says that anymore. You got to embrace change, folks, because it's happening, and it's happening fast, right? The problem is old habits die hard. If you doubt me, how many of you guys would want to lose some weight? But man, giving up that candy or giving up that junk food, it's really hard, right? Old habits die hard, folks. So in my opinion, not changing to deal with all this competition is far riskier, right? I'll hear this one all the time. Oh, Bob, it's so risky if I do this stuff. No. If you don't do something, it's far riskier, in my opinion, than sitting there doing nothing and hoping things will get better. Type in the chat box for me if you agree, or raise your hand. You guys agree with that? If you don't do something now, it's way riskier to your income than hoping things are going to get better. You see, Einstein had a real simple theory. If you're unhappy with your current results, which is why I'm assuming you're here, then continuing to do what you're doing now, expecting different results, is the very definition of insanity. Let's do something different. Get outside the box, right? So what we did is we went out and we created an online home offers platform that's designed to help agents carry at least 10 listings in their pipeline by differentiating ourselves from all of that competition. And guys, it's the first 100% transparent method for buyers and sellers to conduct a real estate transaction. Truth is, I don't actually care what's going on with that lawsuit right now because I'm going to be transparent about it. The difference is I'm going to take and be out in front of that trend, looking for open, honest real estate agents. I'm going to take and show them how it all works now. I'm going to be like the Wizard of Oz and pull the curtain back and let people see Oz, right? Then what we do, folks, we take and leverage these listings to get hundreds of buyers into our open houses, and we get them pre-approved on the spot. So Robert actually holds our record of, is it 586 people, Robert, in one weekend?
Correct, sir.
Average is what, 250, 300 people into your average open house?
250 to 300 folks through the doors pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic. And then pandemic now is what, 100?
Well, you know what we're averaging about 38 agents with their buyer. We're averaging about 10 to 15 buyers without agents. And on top of that is six sellers coming to see the property as well.
And this is in COVID time, folks. So just understand, well, I don't want you working all the open houses. That's where we're going to get those buyer agents, right? Here's a small town an hour outside of Cleveland, 43 people in a day. Here's one, I'm not going to read you the whole thing, 187 people in one weekend. One of the people who came in was an investor who flipped 19 houses last year with a traditional real estate agent that so far this year they've sold 23 houses. Got 4 listings his first week. Ron and Sherry had more than 600 buyers at their first 3 open houses. Average price about $400,000. James held an open house, $500,000 house priced at $4.25 and did 0 paid promotions. Over 100 people came through in only 5 hours, and he didn't have any help with them. The truth is, he probably cost himself another $100,000 that day, right? Michael did a starting bid, $320,000, 300 people in one day. 300 in a day. This is my favorite one. This is a 2 houses. I didn't show you the second one in there. Both of them sold for $307,500 cash in 1 week. But the reason I share this with you, he goes, hey, during our open house, we had 250 people came in on Saturday and only 75 on Sunday due to rain. But overall, it was a successful open house. Guys, we're apologizing for having 75 people into an open house. 325 in a weekend. Here's the cool part. He took this listing for 1 week, got a cash offer, both properties, $307,500. In 14 days, he closed $615,000 in real estate. Joseph is here on the phone with us. This is Joseph's listing. Joseph, what did we just start the price out at? Was it $499?
It was $499.
They ended up at $582,500. And what did the seller want for that?
He was good at like a $572. He would have been thrilled.
So 22 offers, $572. But guys, this is why we talk about building personal net through real estate. Now, by far and away, Joseph is probably the top 3 closers that I've ever met in all my years of doing this because of his personality, the way that he prepares and does all that. So if you start thinking about it, you had how many people in the open house over that weekend, Joseph?
We had about 248. It was just shy of 250 between both Saturday and Sunday.
So out of those folks, 19 were pre-approved buyers without an agent. 19 sales, potential sales in play.
Yep. And they were pre-approved on the spot, those 19.
Pre-approved, guys, not pre-qualified like, hey, what do you do? No, tax returns, pay stubs, all of it. Now, they had to go home and get their stuff, but 19 pre-approved buyers. 6 people who needed to sell their house or neighbors that wanted to sell their house, which is 12 potential sides. That's 31 total transactions available. Now, depending on how Joseph converts, his average sales price about $550. Yep. If he closes 15 of the 31, about half, and, well, he's even a better closer than that, but let's do that. Folks, here's what that means. The one listing that he took, yeah, he made about $15,000 or so on it, but he's also got 15 more closings, average commission at $16,500. That's $247,500. He's a good closer. You're going to probably get 20 out of that. That's $330,000. So here's some easy math. If Joseph wants to make $3 million this year, how many listings does he need to have? 10. Now, are they all going to work out quite the same? Probably not. Will he convert the same? Probably not. So what if it was 15 to 20? If all you had to worry about was 15 to 20 listings every year, Joseph, well, life is pretty good if that's all you have to think about, right?
Absolutely is.
And then if you get 25, it's 412, and 30, which, again, that's an unrealistic number, but I still want to do the math because I feel I owe it to you. It's almost $500,000. That's how we build wealth from listings, guys. You don't see anything in there about, well, what's the commission on the referral fees part of that, right? That's additional. This is just from the listings. That's how we do it. And so simply, Joseph has somebody else work the buyers and pays a referral fee. That's it. It gives you much better quality of life, right? Good.
Yeah, and it allows for a really intense focus on what really matters. So, we really get to hone in on where our skill sets need to be developed, where we need to deploy our time, our efforts, and then we have other role players to take over the rest. It works out great.
And so, folks, that's what we're talking about building wealth from listings. That's why we do it, right? Because, well, I'm not even sure that I need to really ask you this question, but would listings and open houses like that change your cash flow? Well, of course it would. I had to put the question in there, but I'm going to answer it for you because, well, it's insane. If you don't think it'll if you don't think it'll increase your cash flow, just put it in the chat box for me. How's that? Let me know you're still there. So there's 3 things we're going to go through today. Number 1, why you should use online home offers on all your listings. 2, how we create 12 resources for listings and referrals. And then 3, how we can work together to help you list more homes, build your personal net worth, and start collecting hundreds of referral fees every month. So let me ask you, number 3, how many of you guys would be offended if I showed you how I could take and help you start listing more homes, start building your personal net worth, and start collecting hundreds of referral fees every month? Raise your hand or put it in the chat box for me if that would completely alienate you, tick you off, make you mad. I won't wait because I don't think there'll be an answer there, right? So that's what we're going to go through today. So let's talk about the online offers. What does that look like? Well, guys, for us, if sellers have choices, I believe so should you. So we have 5 different options. We can do a cash sale. We can do a traditional sale. We can do an online offers. We have access to cash where, like, if somebody wants to fix up the property before they sell it, we can do that and get the work done for them. So we have options when that happens, right? One of the things that we did is, well, we have a private hedge fund marketplace. So instead of trying to let people sell their house to open door offer pad, well, we have other sources we can go to and get paid 3% on the commission. And if they buy the house and flip it, here's the good news. We actually get the listing. So we get paid twice on it. Well, that'd be cool to have something like that, right? How do you do that? Well, I went out and built it. And now our people can use it. Because here's what it does, guys. It gives us another variation of this. Hey, this is Bob with eXp Realty calling because I work with over 50 different hedge funds that are purchasing homes. More than half of them pay market value and turn them into rentals for 10 years. If I get you cash offer at the price you want to net, would you accept it? Well, of course they're going to say yes. Great. I just need to schedule time to come out and complete a property condition report and get pictures of the homes. When's the best time to do that? Guys, nobody's ever said no to that. And here's the cool part. When I go into the house, I just go, hey, by the way, folks, don't worry about it. If none of these offers work out, I can sell your home in 14 days for top dollar, and I won't even charge any commission. So either way, we're going to get your home sold and get the price you want, okay? Now, what typically happens, they go, well, how does that work? Well, it's coincidental. I just pull out this nice little trifold brochure and walk them through how that works. Either way, I'm good, right? So how many of you guys have sold a HUD home? Put it in the chat box for me. Put a yeah, raise your hand, any of that. Because, guys, all we did, we just modeled what HUD does, VA does, USDA does. We just made it more transparent. So here's how it works. Let's say that your buyer finds a house. They want to offer $200,000. They put in $200,000. They go, how much do you want to make, Joseph? You go 5%. Good. 210 is the price. 200 net to FHA or to HUD. That's how it works, right? Well, all we did is duplicated the same thing. The only difference is we made it more transparent, right? Because the question you have to ask yourself is, well, why does Fannie, Freddie, VA, USDA, HUD, IRS, why do all of them sell their homes that way? They all do it. Why is it? Well, it's because they net the most amount of money, right? And then we have luxury auction companies, because basically an online offers platform is very similar to an auction platform. And all the banks are selling their properties, their foreclosures that way. And the wealthy are selling their properties that way, right? Here's a $35 million mansion in Paradise Valley that's sold that way. And then from Concierge, I'm going to read all these numbers, and I don't have anything more updated than 2019. But look at their growth, folks. It was like in the 100 percentiles for the last 3 years. And at the first quarter of 2019, it was up 150%. Well, guys, if the government, the banks, and the wealthy are selling their properties that way, why aren't you doing that for your customers, for your database, for your friends, for your family? Well, the reason is because there's not a platform to do that. Even Forbes is saying, hey, 4 reasons to sell your home at auction. Here's one from HGTV where they went out and did the research. This guy's home had expired at $250, and they sold it in this manner and got $275 for it. And they went out and did a survey. About 11% of the times when you sold your house via online auction like that, you got 11% more than what it expired for. Good Lord. NAR is telling you to do it. They just don't tell you how to do it. The reason this is so powerful, folks, is online bidding uses the science of pricing. It's very simple. It's been part of my listing presentation for decades. If we list your property at market value, 60% of the buyers are coming out. 10% above, only 30, 15% above, only 10. But price at 75% below, or 10% below, 75% are coming, 15% below, 90% of the people will come to the house. So think about that. When buyers compete, sellers win. So one of the ways we can do that is to price the house low. The other thing is we're going to put a deadline. They end on Thursday at 5 o'clock or Thursday at 7 o'clock. Because a deadline is the most powerful negotiating strategy and something that injects sense of urgency into the transaction that a regular transaction just doesn't. And so we put that psychology in there. Because the benefits to a seller, guys, is pretty simple. The seller gets a simple marketing and showing process. It's 14 days. We do an open house on Saturday and Sunday. We don't put a lockbox on their house. It's easy, right? The buyer pays their own agents, and the truth is, in most cases, well, they pay all the compensation. Robert, you do about half the time the buyer pays their own, and the other half the buyer pays both, right?
Correct.
So I know you think, oh, well, agents won't do it, but we'll talk about that. The offer deadline creates urgency. That's huge, right? The typical time frame is 14 days. You set the terms and days of your open house and showing so you can plan your life accordingly. It's that simple, right? The online offers platform lets you receive the true market value of your home. It's 100% transparent, happens in real time, and people can see what the offers are, and they can adjust their offer in real time. Then you have us to handle everything for you. Well, why would a buyer want to do it? Well, this is a guy in Washington that was one of 5 people that submitted an offer. They never did a highest and best. I don't know why, but they just didn't. He looked it up about 6 weeks later, and he said, hey, I would have paid 35 grand more for that property. But they didn't do that. What it does, folks, is the buyer has complete control over buying the home they want. And in the environment that we're in right now, can we all agree that, like, buyers are willing to pay almost anything? It eliminates multiple blind offers. Everything happens online. It's completely transparent. Price, commission, everything is completely transparent, happens in real time. The ability to preview the house before bidding, right? It's not like some foreclosure thing. We're doing an open house. There's no hidden surprises. And then, well, if they don't have an agent, I could reduce the compensation to double end the thing. And then everything is a normal contract and closing. All the online offers platform is designed for, folks, is to arrive at a contract price. That's it. And then all forms of financing are accepted. Well, what does that look like? Well, think of it this way, guys. If you're a buyer, would you prefer a blind highest and best where nobody can give you advice? Or would you rather an open and transparent online offers program where you could see what other people are willing to pay? And if you want to pay more, you have the right to do it. And if you don't, you stop. Which one do you think that your buyers would rather have? Put it in the chat box for me. BHB, blind highest and best, or open and transparent? Put it in the chat box for me. Yeah, open and transparent wins every time, right? So if you're a buyer's agent, because why don't you put your buyer's agent hat on right now, would you love it if the buyer had the ability to purchase your listing no matter how many other buyers wanted it, right? Because if they don't get it and you're one of 10 offers, you're back out driving them around again. And then you eliminated the whole highest and best. And if you're the listing agent, you netted your seller several $1,000s more. They didn't have to write and submit a contract until a final price was determined, right? So you're getting all these multiple blind offers. You have to run back or you do it on your tablet and write these offers and get them in real quick. Well, guess what if you didn't have to do that? Well, it's a lot less work for the buyer's agent, so they love it. And then you saved all that time from writing contracts. And if you're the listing agent, you don't have to review all those contracts, put them into an Excel spreadsheet. You watch it happen in real time, right? And then the poor buyer's agent, one of the agents on our team, has written 17 offers before he got one accepted. Think of all the work that took, right? And then they could stop driving their buyers around looking for a needle in a haystack, because if their buyer really wants it, they have the ability to get it which means the buyer's agent can work with more buyers, which means more closings. So the buyer's agents love it, right? So that's why we do it. And guys, the only way for buyers, sellers, and the agent to win is using an online platform like this, which is 100% transparent. So let's talk about that seller pays no commission thing again. Yet we put it in MLS, we use Zillow, we use Redfin, we do all that. Well, there's a commission still paid, folks, but the buyer pays for it just like on a HUD home. It's the exact same process with 100% transparency. So don't get hung up on how it works. Robert, has a buyer ever said to you, hey, I don't get that, I don't like the way that works?
You know what? In the very beginning, they say that, but once they understand the full transparency, they actually love it more than the agents.
Yeah, the agents are the hard ones. Joseph, how about you? Buyers ever like moan, groan, and do that?
Whenever change is hard for anyone. So when they hear it's going to be a different process, they immediately have like what they think is going to be their negative response. But as soon as you help them understand the transparency and a fairer bidding process, immediately it changes their perspective and they're a lot more open to hearing how it works. So yeah, by the time you're done, they're pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, my favorite conversation is, hey folks, have you written a bunch of offers and then been rejected in the multiple blind offers? And they go, yeah. You go, cool, this doesn't happen here. They're like, really? It's over, right? So what does that look like? Well, this is just a mock-up that I made from one of the online platforms. And so all it does, folks, is it just shows you what the offer price is, what the current offer is, what the agent compensation is, and what the total purchase price is, right? So in this scenario, the current offer was $200,000. If we did a 6% commission, then that's $12,000, and the purchase price is $212,000. What happens is the buyer is going to be able to see as they take and continually increase their price by submitting additional offers, they can see how it affects our compensation and how it affects the purchase price. Totally transparent, nothing hidden, and the consumer loves that, folks, because now they know. We're just transparent about it. They're going to find out at closing, so why not have the conversation with them? Well, now. This is exactly what it looks like, folks. And so people can go on there and do it exactly this process, right? So the way that the contract works is you take the final bid plus the agent compensation, right, which is all outlined right there, the total purchase price $212,000. That's how it works. And all the lender and appraiser works from is that. Guys, all we use this platform for is to take and establish the sales price, period. Then everything proceeds like normal. Now, many of you are going, well, what happens if it's, too much money? We'll talk about that in a second. Well, here's how it works, folks. How does a seller net the same amount of money? How does Joseph sell a house for $300 and I sell it for $282 and we make the same amount of net money for the seller? Well, it's real simple. Remember that conversation? Hey, if you market it at $300,000, you sell it for that, you're paying $18,000 in commission, 1%, they net $279. And they go, this way, if we do it that way, Joseph, it gives us a few $1,000s negotiating leverage, but we need to net $275, right? Our strategy is, hey, we start the price at $249. It's worth $300. We get to $282. And again, this is an arbitrary number done just to demonstrate math for you. But the whole goal is if we start out at $249,000, we get a ton of people in the house and it drives the price up. Our agent compensation is 6% of the $282. They still have their closing costs, so then the seller nets $279 and the buyer pays $298. Is everybody in this scenario happy? Yes, they are. We just got there differently. It's exactly how HUD works, except we're completely transparent on it. They know if there are other offers. They know what somebody's willing to pay for the property. So therefore, it's open and transparent, right? Well, we utilize the science of pricing for a real simple reason. Well, I got the same $300,000 house. Let's say it start out at $240. Which one's going to get the most amount of buyers? $240. Same $300,000 house. We just do it that way. Well, you go, Bob, I can do the same thing. I don't need to do something like that. I'll just do a low price like that, and then I'll get a bunch of offers and just drive the price up. And I will tell you, folks, in like 99% of the cases, you'll probably be able to do that. But it's the 1% of the time that doesn't, where you get it up to, like, let's say the seller wants to net, $290,000, and you only get to $270. And you say, sorry, he's not willing to do it. And you go, but wait, it's in MLS that way. It's on Zillow that way. It's in Redfin that way. And now I happen to be a 64-year-old man, and let's say I was buying the house, and I'm going, he doesn't want to sell it to me because I'm old. Wow, you have a problem. Now, most times it'll work, but it's the 1% of the time that doesn't. So we lower the price, and we use this platform because guess what? The seller discloses that I have the right to accept, reject, or negotiate any, and I mean any offer. We disclose it everywhere. So in this scenario, if the highest offer we got was $240, seller doesn't have to do anything. So we protect the seller, but we're able to drive a ton of traffic because, well, can we agree, guys? The number one goal of your marketing is to get as many prospective buyers to your listings as possible. Isn't that what we're doing? Because remember, when buyers compete, sellers win, right? Here's another one, 51 offers, $400,000. The house is worth $330,000. Now, this one we ended up coming down to $368,000. The buyer agreed to bring in as much as $40,000 cash into closing, and we did that. But guys, do you think the seller's ecstatic with that agent? I mean, the agent had to come back and say, you know what, I got such a high offer on your price, I can't even do it, because nobody in their right mind would bring $70,000 to closing. But the seller ended up getting $368,000 and didn't pay a penny in commission. How cool is that? Right? So our marketing is designed for one thing, guys, massive open houses. Would you rather have a Facebook lead where you drip on them for 18 months, or would you rather be belly to belly with people that are in your property because you know they're looking to buy a house? Or maybe you got the nosy neighbor and who's selling going, oh my God, how many people how did you get all these people in the house? How many times, Robert and Joseph, do you guys get listings from your open houses because people are blown away with the number of people in there?
Happens all the time.
Yep,
all
part
the time.
of the process. That's a focus for sure.
So imagine if every listing you had, you could pick up, let's call it 2 buyers and 2 listings. Let's just call it 2 and 2. What would happen to your cash flow, right? Now, currently in this whole COVID environment, we're using Calendly in different parts of the country. So California, where both Joseph and Robert are at, we use Calendly to do it. Now, it certainly reflects in the number of people that we can get into a property. But Robert, has this slowed you down at all in the terms of pricing that you're getting or number of people looking at the houses?
Not at all, Bob. And it's also what it's done is I stack them every 15 minutes. So it's allowing me to give time to explain the process to the agent while they're with their buyer. And then they stack every 15 minutes. It's working beautifully.
Or now I have time to talk to the buyer who doesn't have an agent. And so it actually works out wonderfully. So here's what I want to tell you, folks. While the open houses are powerful, and I do not want to discount them in any way, this is a listing system. This is about listings, okay? So at the end of the day, here's our timeline, right? So let's say we get the thing listed at, we get them to sign the paperwork on Monday. We don't upload it until Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. And the reason that we do that, folks, is because Thursday and Friday are the 2 most search days on the internet for real estate. And so I want it to be at the top of the list on Thursday and Friday. We do an agent open house on the following Thursday because you're going to get a bunch of agents going, hey, I need to look at this house, and you don't have it on Lockbox, and this is crazy. So we get them to come into the house and show them how it works. We do the open house on Saturday and Sunday. They have till noon on Thursday to get us loan documents. Otherwise, we don't let them bid. And then the bidding ends at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. That's the marketing timeline. So we share that in a listing presentation. This is actually one of Robert's listings here. And $408,000. But guys, in 4 days, look at the number of views on Zillow. Again, start thinking about how can I use these things in a listing presentation to show people the power of my marketing. These are things that are demonstrable to show somebody. I don't have to tell them anything. I can prove it, right? Here was his Zillow traffic at 9 o'clock, call it, on Sunday morning. He had 535 visitors. And you go, well, cool, how is that? Well, here's the things on Zillow where it said, here, these are the 7 similar listings, 1,663 views. Second place was 138. 2 listings that had 0 price only had 48 and 45 views. Is this something that's going to be powerful showing a seller in a home? Of course it is, right? Now, what did you end up at this one, Robert? I got it before it ended. What did you end up final price on this?
We ended up starting at 408 and ended at 494 plus the buyer premium of 3%.
Think the seller's happy there, folks? So our whole goal is very simple, guys. It's not to get 300,000. Yeah, we want to start at 249, but let's just say we got the final bid price was 290. The agents get paid 17.4. The seller nets 286. The buyer pays 307. Is everybody happy in that scenario now? Now, do you have an appraisal issue? Well, what happens if you have an appraisal? Well, here's the good news, folks. Because the buyers are pre-approved, we already know we can call the lender and go, hey, do they have the money to bring cash to closing? And if they do, guess what? We go to them and say, here, are you willing to bring cash to closing? Sign this document. If they're not, we go to the second place bidder or the third place bidder or whatever it takes. Or the worst case, we negotiate like we do in every other transaction, guys. But that's the goal, right? We want to get more than what the seller could do on their own. Remember, our job is to get the highest possible price fast and with the least amount of hassles. Guys, the only way to really do it is to have an online offers platform like this. It's the only way I know of to do it, right? Because here's what we're trying to do, folks. That's my 24-year-old son. What I'm looking to do is help him take and focus on getting good at listings. He's got a little, impediment. He's 24, so people don't take a 24-year-old kid quite as seriously, but he still does very well. And to go out and build a team of buyers agents that will work with that'll work with him and do the buyers. Let's say they close 2 deals a month because, well, Robert, if you had a buyer's agent and you're doing open houses where you're getting 250 people and they do 2 of them a month and they can't close 2 deals, what do we need to do?
Probably look for new agents, Bob.
Look for new agents. But if that's all they did, guys, you get $4,500 a month for agents, saying you're taking a 30% referral fee. If you had 10 agents doing that, you're making $45,000 a month if the average price in your market is $250. And in our case, our broker pays us another $2,334 in referral fees every month on this business. Guys, that's about $77,000 a month. Is that the kind of business you would want to build? And if so, you're on the right call, right? How many guys are starting to see the power of this and your mind is totally racing? I know you may not comprehend it all now. Put it in the chat box for me. Give me a hell yeah, and let me know that your mind is racing. You get this. All right, cool. Lots of hell yes. And you follow instructions. That's even better, right? So how do we create these 12 resources? Well, we talked about them. FSBO's expired, cancels, personal database, all them. So let's talk about this, guys. Here's a simple one. This is one of the things that my agent does in Seattle. He goes into Starbucks and works at the table and puts that up. I blacked out his information so y'all don't start calling him and blowing up his phone. Every time he does this, he takes a listing. Every time. So remember, think outside the box. I didn't think of that one, but it's pretty cool. See, for me, I use MyPlus leads to gather my FSBO data, $59 a month, because, well, guess what, guys? I just use the text system. I upload the CSV file for My Leads Plus into KB Core, which is what we use, and I send the text messages out, right? And then here's a sequence. Depending on what happens, I got a couple different ways that we do it. We send out a text message. Sometimes we'll hear it's like, hey, that sounds too good to be true. We send them a 2.5-minute explainer video that sends them to a landing page where they can get more information, where they can schedule a call, list their house with us, or get more details. Then we follow up. We do exactly the same thing with expired and canceled. Guys, you want a cold call or do you want to do something like this? Which is better, right? What about home builders? All these new home builders out there. Well, they put people under contract. What they're doing now is a lot of them have deals with Open Door and OfferPad where they won't even write a contract for the new house till you bring them an Open Door or OfferPad offer. Well, people can't afford to close on the new house and give up all that equity. So what if you started talking to builders agents and saying, hey, I've got a way to take and get your clients that's getting a little bit close, maintain all their equity because I get top dollar for them. It only takes me a week and they're not paying any commission. What if you got 5, 6, 7, 8 builders agents to start sending you deals? Or how about investors? Robert, how many listings is that one investor giving you already?
I've closed 4 with them, and I've got another 12 bona fide, ready to go sellers just putting together right now.
Guys, go to all those fix and flippers. Talk to them. Hey, would you like taking it the most amount of money for your house? I can get it done in a week. I won't even charge you commission. Every fix and flipper on the planet would want to work with you. So investors, great resource. What about probate and divorce attorneys? 19.1% of all people who file for divorce sell their house in the first year. 48.4% in the second year. Wow, what a resource. Probate attorneys are required by law to get their clients the maximum amount of money for their assets, right? We have a whole system for doing probate. What about REO? Well, guys, we know lots of people who say, hey, we're going to get into the REO side of the business. Well, guess what? It's not that easy. Robert used to train. Have you done what, like 35,000 agents in the Freddie Mac platform, Robert?
Yeah, nationwide, yeah.
So it's not that easy to just get in and start getting REO. There's a selection process, right? Or there's a pre-qualification. Or here's one that says, hey, we only select the best, most qualified REO brokers throughout the country to partner with. Guys, you can't go in and just tell them, well, I'm a good agent, I've been here 20 years and all. Like, it doesn't matter. You got to be able to show them a way to be able to take and do this. Now, if you want to attend our REO class, just make sure you get with whoever invited you to this class and say, hey, I want to attend the REO training too, right? Because what we're doing, guys, we're building a nationwide network of agents for REO servicers, because they come to us all the time and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody in, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Can you refer an agent? So we're looking for REO agents, right? All we're designed to do, folks, is we're putting the odds for success in your favor, because it's virtually impossible to say no to that USP, right? Hey, do you want to sell your house for the most amount of money? Yes. If I could get it done in a week, would that work for you? Yes. If I didn't charge any commission, would that work for you? Yes. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's really tough not to. So guys, just imagine how these systems and strategies could revolutionize your business, your cash flow, and really your lifestyle. Think about it for a minute. Just imagine what life would be like if you were taking 3 listings a week like that. Mercy me, right? So what do you say at the listing presentation? Well, here's the good news, guys. This doesn't cut it. I give good service. I've been in the business for 20 years. My clients love me. This is my favorite, the 89-point marketing plan. Whoever sold this is still selling it. It's unbelievable. Here's what we do, folks. I walk in, we go, here's what we're, today, folks, I've got an agenda. First, I want to determine if your home meets the criteria for a successful transaction. If I don't think I can sell it, utilizing this platform, get you top dollar, I'm going to tell you right up front. I'm going to review the marketing and open house timeline. I'm going to walk you through what a sample listing and demonstrates how the online offers process works. I'm going to review all the disclosures with you. And if we decide to move forward today, we'll get everything signed. Does that work for you? Well, guess what? I just took all the pressure off the hook at the end saying, hey, I've already told you, if we decide to move forward, we're signing listing documents. Have them ready, right? Then we go through and teach them just like I did here. Just teach them what we did. That's all we do. We teach. We don't sell anything. I walk them through the math, all of that. We just teach. So now I'm curious. In the chat box, if you're on this, watching this on live, if you're in a live room, you can't do it. In the chat box for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning, no, this thing stinks, I would never even think of using it, to 10 being, oh my gosh, how do I do it? How many of you think transparent online offers, the scripts, and the systems would be an amazing way to build your real estate business? 1 to 10, put it in the chat box for me. I apologize you guys can't see it, but it's how it works with the live streaming and the technology. Put it in there for me. All right, lots of 10s. I need to learn more. 5, 7. Guys, if you don't think it's a 10, you don't have to put in a 10. There's lots of 10s in there. It's okay. 3 for now till I learn more. Will there be a replay so I can listen to it again? Put mostly 8, 9s, and 10s. So cool. So the next part is, well, how do we work together? How could you put something like this in place so that you could list more homes, build your personal net worth, and start collecting hundreds of referral fees every month? Well, let's talk about it. Before we do, I got a quick question. Would you rather be the real estate agent only making money when you get a house sold, or the broker that gets paid every time their agents sell a house? Which one? Put it in the chat box for me. Agent paid only when you close, or broker getting paid every time an agent closes? Which one do you want? Put it in the chat box for me. There's a small delay. All right. Broker, 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 but I don't want the headache. Cool. I'm going to show you how that works. Well, guys, what if you could do both? What if you could be both and you could do it right now? What would that do for you? So let's take a look at how that would work. What we're going to do is show you the eXp Realty model. And the reason we use this, guys, it's the only real estate business model where you're an agent and an owner. So Robert and Joseph are both agents and owners, meaning they're compensated when they close transactions, but they're also compensated as an owner when other agents close transactions. Cool, right? But here's the thing, guys, trying to explain eXp Realty and having you think that it's like your brokerage, it's not. It's like comparing apples to oranges, okay? So let's talk about how the money flows in real estate. Again, we have to have an open and honest discussion, right? I hear agents go, oh, no, I love my broker. I've got such a beautiful office. Great. How much are you paying for it? Oh, I'm not paying for it. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, guys, because guess what? When you close a deal, whether you're compensated through a flat fee that you think you're 100%, but well, flat fee would mean you're not 100%, right? You might be 97, 98, but you're not 100. Or you're on a split. All money in real estate flows up from the agent to the franchise owner to the regional owner of the company. If you're in a small independent broker, you close it. Maybe there's a managing broker. Maybe it's the owner. But all money flows up. Well, in the EXP model, folks, the money flows up, but we're the owner and the agents. And EXP simply works as a servicing company. They handle all the day-to-day nonsense so that I don't have to deal with it. I just close my transactions and grow my business, right? There's three things that EXP did that completely disrupted the industry. Because technology has changed, we don't need brick and mortar expense. The company is run on less than 3% of revenue, which means we can compensate agents differently. We own the company. When we do real estate transactions, we get stock. We get some of it free. We get some of it where we have the ability to buy it at a discount. And finally, the company shares half of the revenue of the company. It's paid to us in the form of referral fees. Just so you know, last year, $485 million, almost $500 million, was shared with 25,000 agents. And we're going to walk through what that looks like, okay? Because with us, folks, with our group, production is our main focus. So just know that right up front. What we want to help you do is close more transactions, not a little bit more, a lot more. For us, I would like to see at least double your closings in 1 year. Then we want you to retain more of your commission. We want you to build additional streams of cash flow, like getting paid 3 times at closing instead of 1 time. Wouldn't that be cool? And then obtain appreciating assets as part of your transactions, things that go up even when you're not working. And then finally, increase your personal net worth. So we're going to walk you through that model. Well, just know, guys, everything with cash flow starts with listings, as we showed you, right? We have our listing targets that we focus on because everything emanates with listings. Now, we went through FSBOs, expireds, and all that. So just know it starts with listings, right? We actually have our own lead generation agency inside of our group. EXP doesn't do that. It's our group that does that. Well, what does that mean? Well, we have somebody who will do Facebook ads for you, Google AdWords, YouTube ads, probate. Now, there's a cost to that, but I promise you it's a lot less expensive than going out to other companies that have to pay all these employees. It's actually run by our agents who are very tech savvy. We've got a process where we can take and show you how to dominate the first page of Google. So you can take your listings and get them all over the first page of Google. We have people that'll do that for you if you don't want to do it. So now, right, the number one thing that every agent tells us they need the most of is, well, leads. Well, guess what, guys? Because we have our own lead generation agency and they do all this, leads are not a problem for us. I'd still tell you I want to focus on listings, but I want you to understand it's there, right? Emilio's a new agent to our team. When he first got licensed, he went to work at the Big Red Company. I won't say who that is. You'll figure it out. In 3 months, he generated 0 leads or business. In 3 weeks on our time, he generated more than 45 leads at no cost. He's not working with the two. Now, he's already closed 2 deals. He's a brand new agent, folks. Sue came from the Big Red Company, closed 6 deals all of last year. In only 6 months at EXP within our group, she's already closed 9 transactions and now keeps 100% of her commission, right? We have we have 17 high-level coaches that donate 2 hours a week of their time. Joseph and Robert are both coaches for us. And so at the end of the day, we have 34 hours of live coaching. 4 of our coaches coach for Tom Ferry. 1 coaches for Club Wealth Mastermind. Our people get that for free. They can just go in and talk to them and get that guidance and that help, right? If you're in California and you're here watching this, we have escrow company ownership opportunities. We're going to be expanding to additional states within the next 12 months, and we do it in a completely RESPA compliant way so that agents can profit from that, and there's another form of revenue. So if you're in California, you really do want to talk to us, right? Because here's what I'll tell you, folks. Joining the right EXP group is imperative to your long-term results, your growth, and your cash flow. So choose wisely, right? the business model. Joseph, how about if you take them home on the business model?
Let's do it.
And do that.
Let's rock and roll. And so what I'll share with you guys right out of the gate is that at eXp Realty, you know, we've already talked about how we're all about helping you build that listing inventory. And just know, when we looked at how to implement this model in the right brokerage, you know, this is the only place that made perfect sense. And we kind of showed you how we're helping agents build out their teams, build out their listing inventory, and really in need of hiring agents. And how perfect does that play out at eXp Realty? So our company was started in 2009 in the state of Washington. And if you guys remember, 2009 was a mess, right? I think the dust was still settling. Since then, eXp has expanded into every state in America, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and South Africa. 4 more countries have been announced to open, including Mexico. So, Bob, if you want to move on to the next one.
Well, you know, do you want me to do this part of it, Joseph? I probably flipped it over to you too quick. You're more than welcome to, but
no, go right ahead, man. Go for it.
All right. So, folks, here's the only thing that we're going to ask today from you. The only decision I want you to make after today is whether you want a real estate job or a real estate business. Well, what does that mean, right? Well, this is what your cash flow and your business feels like, right? That you work 7 days a week, that you can't go on vacation, that you lay in bed worrying about, you know, how am I going to pay the mortgage next month? Where's my next set of deals coming from? If that's what your life is like, folks, you have a real estate job. That stinks. If you have a real estate business, this is how your income works. That's me. It's actually 2 years ago right now as we speak. I actually was severely injured. I couldn't walk for a period of 2 months. I was basically a human paperweight. Here's the thing, folks. If something like that happened to you, right, could you work with a buyer if this was you? I mean, you can't tell the pain that I was in here. This took me 35 minutes to get from the car to this spot. Could you work with a buyer like that? Could you go on a listing appointment? Well, here's the good news. Because I built a real estate business, the first month that I was injured, that I couldn't walk, I was a human paperweight, my income went up 71%. The second month, when I had to go back and learn how to walk again and take a shower again and all the things that we take for granted, my income went up 44%. Guys, bad stuff happens to good people every single day. Are you prepared financially for that to happen? And if the answer to that is no, well, we're going to show you how you can do that today. That's my story. What I can tell you, folks, I want to share that story because it's so imperative, because I think we could all agree if something happened like that for you and you couldn't even move for 2 months, I couldn't work for 5, you would be decimated financially, right? Yet I was able to take and build something inside the eXp model that I didn't even have to think about money, right? Now, the cool part, this was a good place to put this script. We now actually have healthcare for agents. So that in that event, right, so my deductible was only $7,500. That's what that cost me for that. And so we also have healthcare for agents. So now, Joseph, I'm going to let you go.
You got it. No problem. So, guys, you know this. Innovation's been happening all over the place when it comes to a lot of different industries. We know it with the Blockbuster and the Netflix, the mom and pop shops versus Amazon. And that's really what we're seeing transition here from the traditional real estate brokerage to eXp Realty. But before we move on from this, I really want to ask you, as you watch what we're going to show you in terms of eXp Realty's opportunity for you as an agent, I really want to ask you, if back then you had the opportunity to own a Blockbuster, but you were made aware of Netflix, or if you had the chance to own a Circuit City, but you knew Amazon was coming, would you really want to be a party to them? Because what we're about to show you is really going to make you question, do I want to stay at my traditional brokerage where I'm basically renting my brokerage, or do I now want to have ownership in something that's really cutting edge? So just keep that in mind as we dive forward. To give us kind of a baseline though, because again, Bob said, comparing eXp Realty to any other brokerage is like apples and oranges. You can't compare the two. To give you the apples to apples comparison before we show you how we're different, here are the simple numbers, and we're super transparent. So at eXp Realty, to basically position yourself where now you're not just an agent at a company, but you have an ownership role, it's $149 to start with us. From there, every one of our agents has the exact same deal. We're all on an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. Now, if you're not familiar with what a cap is, it's really easy. It's a cap on the company, which means once that 20% going to the company called company dollar hits $16,000, you are automatically going to be reverted to a 100% model with a flat fee of $250. At eXp Realty, all of our agents pay $85 a month. That covers just a massive amount of technology. It's like our tech package that we give you. And then when you close a transaction here, there's a $25 broker review fee that pays for our brokers and our compliance team to make sure all of your files are dialed in, plus a $40 risk management fee, also known as E&O insurance. But the E&O, the $40 risk management, also capped at $500 a year. So what does that mean? If an agent just comes to us and they're only closing 2 deals a year, they're only going to pay $80 in the E&O insurance. When they come to us and we show them how to take advantage of all of the amazing tools that we have as a group above and beyond eXp Realty, and they're closing 200 deals a year, the maximum they'll ever pay in E&O is $500. Moving on, Bob. All right, so when we talk about the whole agent ownership model and how that works, I want you guys to know it's not just a cute slogan. This is the real deal, and here's how it goes. At eXp Realty, for just doing what you should do, which is sell more real estate, you grow your equity position in the company. So at the top, you'll see that every time you close your first transaction for the year, eXp Realty is going to award you shares of stock. When you cap, meaning you go from your 80-20 to 100% for the rest of that year, as a congratulations, eXp Realty is going to award you more shares of stock. And then when you invite an agent to eXp Realty, you refer them over to the company and they close their very first transaction, eXp Realty is going to award you again more shares of eXp stock as a thank you for referring that agent over. We also have an amazing award called our Icon Agent Award. This is unparalleled in the industry. To become an Icon agent, you basically have to cap, plus do another 20 deals on your own within the same calendar year. And when you do that, as an Icon agent, they're going to take the $16,000, which you'll remember was the cap, and they're going to give it back to you in the form of company stock. We also have an Agent Equity Award program. This one is optional. It's one of my favorites. So at eXp Realty, if you choose to, you can take 5% of your commission dollars and buy the company stock at a 10% discount. Why is this such a massive opportunity? I used to work at Century 21. Great company. I have nothing bad to say about them. But I also remember at Century 21 having the 6% royalty fee. So every time I closed a deal, I would get my math wrong because I didn't subtract the 6% right off the top. So I got used to that as an agent. Here at eXp Realty, I now have the option to take 5% of my commission dollars and start putting it away for something that's for me and my family. So I'm growing something for us, not for the Century 21 family, because who knows where that goes. And you can go on to the next one, Bob, if you like. For most agents so that look at our model, the real home run, like the absolute game changer, is our revenue share plan. And this is where our agents get to participate in the actual revenues of the company. So to keep it simple, this is basically a compensation for contribution model, meaning the more that you are involved in the growth of the brokerage, the more you get to earn in terms of the revenue. Bob, if you want to go on to the next one, I'll keep diving in here. So here's how it works. It's really simple. Let's say, if you go back one, you know an agent named John and you refer him over to eXp Realty, and John makes that change over here because they go, wow, this is an amazing company. When John closes their first transaction, let's just say it was a $10,000 gross commission, not only is eXp going to give you that stock that we talked about, but the very next month, on the 22nd of the month, you're going to get a direct deposit in your bank account for $350 because you immediately start to earn 3.5% gross commission on all of the production that John brings to the table, not out of John's pocket, but out of the company dollar. So moving on to the next one. I will show that also means that there's a cap on this. So every time you refer an agent over, the maximum you can earn per agent that you invite annually is $2,800. Why is there a cap on how much revenue share you could earn? Simple, because when the agent caps and goes to a 100% model, there's no more revenue coming in, so there's no more revenue to share with you, right? But here's the fun part. As you go and talk to some of the agents that you're doing deals with that you already knew, or more importantly, when you look at some of the opportunities we talked about today, where you're absolutely going to need more agents to help you with a sheer amount of volume, we're going to help you create in your production. As you refer these agents over, some of them are going to look at you and go, you know, I really love that revenue share that you receive. I want some of that too. And when those agents go and talk to some of the agents that they know in the industry and refer them over to eXp Realty, you can earn up to $3,200 per agent that they referred. Plus, you're still going to earn up to $2,800 per agent that you've referred over to the company. And this cascading revenue share actually goes down to a total of 7 different tiers. So Bob, if you want to go over to the next one. So here's how it works, because sometimes when people look at this matrix, they go, okay, this is a confusing slide now. It's really simple. Again, it's the way that revenue share works, it's a compensation for contribution model. Now, the reason why revenue share is such a foreign aspect for agents is simply because this is the same money that you're paying into your brokerage now, except they're not going to give you any. And for that reason, the industry's done a really good job of just teaching all of us, just focus on your split. Focus on getting a good split. Don't worry about company dollar. You probably never even heard of company dollar. Just focus on your split. But when you uncover that here at eXp Realty, because now you are part of the same people who are going to benefit from this, this is where we break it down for you. And we'll one-off this with you. Get with a person that asked you to jump on this webinar, and they'll definitely walk you through it in detail. But again, it's a compensation for contribution model. The more agents that you've referred to the company, the more that you get to earn, right? So we already kind of talked about how money flows in the real estate industry. Bob did that already. But just understand, when you eliminate all the nonsense, right, that $16,000 cap that we talked about, that's the same money that's fueling our revenue share model. And I share that because I'm about to show you guys some numbers that's going to blow your mind. But just understand, this is the same money that you and all the other agents at your brokerage are paying into that company. So Bob, you can go on to the next one. Actually, Bob, do you want to jump onto this? I know you kind of want to share a little bit about
okay. So I always ask an agent, hey, what would an extra $1,166 a month do for you? Like if you went to your broker and said, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Broker, how about if you start contributing $1,166 a month to my marketing, right? So here's a very simple way to talk to an agent. You know, how would that work? Well, first, keep listing and selling real estate. If you had an extra $1,166 every month for marketing, I believe you'd sell a lot more homes. What do you think? Right? Well, the answer to that is obvious, right? Then all you got to do is refer 5 other producing agents to eXp, and the brokerage pay you up to $14,000 a year, or on average $1,166 a month, because we don't get paid all the way at the end of the year. We get paid on the 22nd of the month, right? So how would you do that? Well, it's pretty simple, guys. Just go through your agent contacts in your cell phone, social media, any agents maybe you know, you've done transactions together, worked with in the past, or for us, hey, they're coming to our broker opens, or they're coming to our open houses and we get to talk to them, right? We ask them the same question. Hey, if your broker was giving you an extra $1,166 a month for marketing, would that help you sell a bunch more homes? So we ask them the same thing. Now, some of our agents tell a few and others tell more, right? It's up to you. When they come aboard, they get paid the same as you. So think about it. Is there any agent on the planet that wouldn't want $14,000 a year from their broker? And the answer to that is, of course not. We just have to get them to understand how it works. And just so you know, guys, all it takes is referring 5 agents to eXp who sell $80,000 a year in GCI, and you're making $14,000 a year. So think of it this way. You're on a $16,000 cap, but you just got 14 of it back. Forget the stock you got. Your money way ahead. And so it's just a way for us to talk to agents, right? Here's a bigger plan. You want me to do this one, Joseph, or do you want to give them the big plans?
Go for it.
All right, so here's the big plan, folks. We talked to you about hiring 10 agents to sit your open houses, because here's the good news. You can't do an open house and only have 1 agent in an open house. You need 2, 3, 4. There are times Robert has had 5, 6, 7, 8 agents. So you're going to have to hire agents. Forget recruiting or anything else. We hire 8 or 10 of those agents to work your open houses. Well, that's $28,000 a year. And through the course of those broker open houses or agents coming to the open houses and we inviting them to a class like this, All they do is 2 agents for each one of them joins the company. That's $64,000 a year on that tier, which means you're making $92,000 a year with only 30 agents. Now, you paid a $16,000 cap, which means you're getting paid $76,000 a year to hold your license at EXP. So if you're sitting there saying, hey, I'm a 100% agent, Bob, you don't seem to get this. No, I totally get it, dude. You can pay the whole cap plus $76,000. That's a bigger deal, isn't it? And then, well, if you really want to think big, what if we took those 10 agents and, well, let's even say that over the course of 3 or 4 years, they all hired 10, right? We turned them into listing agents and they did the same thing. Well, you're still getting $28,000 a year from the first 10, but that second tier of agents, you're making $320,000. That's $348,000 a year before you ever close a real estate deal, simply by asking agents a real easy question. Have them watch a video or attend a class like this. Can you guys do that? That's all there is to it, okay? Here's the thing, guys. You have the opportunity at EXP to be compensated for contribution. And if you do contribute, and you don't have to, guys, you don't ever have to talk to another agent. But if you do, you have monthly cash flow security. You actually have a realistic way to retire. And the truth is, once you get to that point, you can build a family legacy. Like, this gets passed down to your kids. So the key is that you have the opportunity. You don't have any guarantee. It's what you'll put into it. If you put a little bit of effort into it, you can be compensated for the contribution to the growth of the company. Now, I used to be a corporate executive, guys. I was on a salary. I'd get some bonuses, but there was no way that I was ever compensated for the actual contribution I made to the company. Here, I get a direct contribution or direct compensation for as much as I contribute to the company, period. What other real estate company is going to give you an ownership position and compensate you to help them grow other than a Starbucks gift card, right?
And Bob, real quick, I also want to add, just keep this in mind. Us productive agents, we are the only parties at the bottom of any other brokerage. We're at the bottom of the totem pole. We're the only ones who are out there bringing revenue to the company through our production. There's no other way that a real estate company earns revenue. It's when agents go out there and produce real estate. So why we haven't been in a position to receive part of that revenues as our compensation model is nuts to begin with. Well, we've fixed that solution here. And as we talked about, we're all about making sure that when we have a different type of approach to the real estate model where we have more money in the bottom line, we are reinvesting it back into our agents. We talked about the $85 a month. I'm going to dive into really quickly here where that goes so you guys can understand just how powerful this platform is. So number one, all of our agents get KV Core. If you're not familiar, it's one of the best CRM and front-facing websites that's fully integrated that our industry has to offer. This system alone will transform your business. By the way, if you are not with eXp Realty, you can go out and get this system today. It's not exclusive to us. However, you're going to pay about $1,200 to set it up and spend over $500 a month. At eXp Realty, there is no setup fee, and again, it's $85 a month for this and all of the technology. So for me, it's easy math. Do you want to spend $500 a month or $85 a month just on this system alone? Moving on, Bob. When we help you do a lot more transactions, right? Because that's our goal. We want to help you be like double the amount of production that you were already doing. When we do that, we really need to help you make sure that you're being efficient in managing your files. So all of our agents get SkySlope. It's a online transaction management tool. It's amazing. You type in all the info on the property that you're selling. It'll auto-populate a checklist of every single document that you need to go in the file. And that way you make sure that not only is your file compliant, but you're ready to get paid as soon as possible once it closes. Next one. All of our agents also get a proprietary software that we have called eXp Enterprise. Now, this software is awesome. It's basically a CFO report for real estate agents, right? So every real estate coach is going to tell you need to track your numbers. And most real estate agents don't know how to evolve so that they're running a business. This system alone is not only a single sign-on to every other tool that we have, but it'll also help you track how many transactions you've done year to date, your sales volume, all the way down to what your expenses have been year to date based on your transactions. So this thing is going to help you run your business like a business. Oh, and by the way, when you're acquiring more stock and you're building that revenue share, it's going to monitor those for you as well. So everything's at a click of a button. Now at eXp Realty, we are a cloud-based climate when it comes to our office. So this is a quick look at what our cloud-based office looks like. And I want you to know, when people hear that, a lot of times they'll say, oh, I get it. You guys don't have offices. And I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. We do have an office, except our office exists in the cloud and I can access it anywhere in the world as long as I have an internet connection. And it's far superior to any other brick and mortar office that's out there. Bold statement, right? Well, here's the thing. We have all the large scale meetings you could ever want with the top trainers in the world. We also have over 500 full-time support staff available to our agents 5 days a week for up to 11 hours a day. And our agents get to go collaborate with other agents, build camaraderie, share ideas, go over marketing items, listing presentations, that level of collaboration. And it transcends where they live, because our cloud-based environment means it doesn't matter where you are. You want to work with the best of the best, you get to go in there and work with them. And then Bob already mentioned that we also have it with our group, a private team suite within this cloud-based environment, where we also offer up to 17 coaches who specialize in certain areas. I'm one of them. We have a bunch of them that have to do with lead generation. We even have a life coach in there. You need to get your mind right and some mindset adjustments. They're in there to help you. And this is what that environment looks like here on the slide that you can see. So moving on to the next one, this is really the power of having a cloud-based office, and it really comes down to our business model, because we don't have a ton of brick and mortar offices that we're throwing and burning money on. We get to reinvest it not only in our agents in terms of the technology, but it also has allowed us to reposition our agents so that the ones who are out there actually growing the revenue of the company through their production get to start to earn that revenue as well. And then we talked about some of the live training, over 50 hours of live training in the eXp cloud-based office alone. So when you look in there, you're going to be able to see things like, how to get listings in a traditional way, social media marketing. There's a bunch of mastermind groups in there. We have an abundance approach when it comes to education, learning, and how an agent can grow their business. Are you intended to go and spend 50 hours a week in live training every week? Absolutely not. But this is like having a real estate seminar available to you every single week, but you're not going to have to pay for tickets. You don't have to travel anywhere, and you don't have to stop doing your business while you're in that seminar. You get to do this in a fluid way, and it makes perfect sense for agents to elevate their game. But some agents say, hey, that's amazing, and I get it, but I still really need an office to show up to every now and then. Well, eXp Realty did something really brilliant, kind of like Uber and Lyft. You guys are familiar with the phone app that basically changed how we get taxi service in America. When those two phone apps literally were growing, they had zero fleet, right? They didn't buy a bunch of cars and have their employees drive those around. They leveraged other people's vehicles. eXp Realty has done the same. They partnered with Regus. If you're not familiar, Regus is a global conglomerate of temporary workspace. So these buildings are everywhere. Our agents have an executive membership to Regus. I can walk into any one of them, show them my account. They're going to go, Mr. Limo, come right on in. Feel free to use any of our common area. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. I can meet clients there. Now think about this. If you're talking to a seller with a great home in, I don't know, the city 2 cities over from you, and they go, well, I really want to make sure I'm working with a local agent. All you got to do is pull up your Regus app and go, no problem. I've got an office right down the street from you. Give them the address and meet them there. Our agents have access to way more brick and mortar than the agents who work in a brick and mortar office. That's really the beauty. Going on to the next one. We talked about the real-time support. Over 500 real-time live people there to support our agents 5 days a week to up to 11 hours a day. So if you need anything, they're going to be there to support you. In addition to even our coaches that are in our private team suite as well. And then of course, when you move to any real estate company, you want to make sure that you have cutting edge marketing. You want to make sure that the branding's available to you so that you can, leverage it in the way that you want to. And eXp Realty is very agent centric. What does that mean? we fully expect and want your brand to be the brand of the consumer. You will have to properly brand, of course, with EXP's logo and all, but we really want our agent's brand out there, because people aren't going to work with you because of EXP or any other company for that matter. They're going to work with you because of you. That's the brand we want you to accentuate. And then we also have a company intranet called Workplace by Facebook. It's social media driven. It's awesome. But here's why this is really important. Number one, our agents refer business all over the place, all of the time. So just being in Workplace and making sure that you're signed up for the different referral groups, you're going to see business come and grow in and out of your market all the time. And when you have a family member, a person selling their home and moving to another state, you will know how to, with a touch of a button, get in touch with some of the best agents in the markets where they're going, so you can set up that referral opportunity in real time. So Bob, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, folks. So that's our story. What's next? Well, if any of this interests you today, get with the person that invited you to this class and let's talk with them, because, well, ultimately you have three choices. Honestly, folks, listen, you don't have to do anything. And I appreciate you staying and at least listening and being open-minded. That's the sign of a great business person. But you can continue to run your business as it is now. And if you're happy with your production, your cash flow, you know, and the ability to build your net worth from that, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing. Or you can schedule a no obligation call. We'll analyze your current business, your lead systems, your cash flow, lay it over the EXP model and see which way you make more money. And if you make more money where you're at, well, you don't have to make a decision. If you make more money at EXP, well, you're probably going to have to make a decision. Now, here's what I can tell you. I've done hundreds and hundreds of those. I've never had anybody make more money than at EXP. But if you do, cool. You don't have to do anything. Or three, if you really loved what you heard, join us today. Get with the person who invited you to this meeting. They can schedule a call with me or Joseph or Robert or any of us and be able to help you answer or help answer any questions you have. Look at your cash flow. Maybe look at what your business plan looks like and see what we can do to help you. And if you think it makes sense for us to work together, great. If you want to join us today, you go like, wow, I've never seen anything like that, then by all means, get with the person that invited you to the call or to the live training, and they can help you with that. That's really all there is to it. And so at the end of the day, folks, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to leave it here. We've been on for long enough. Again, if you've got questions for now, just get with the person who invited you. If you guys are watching this live and you got a facilitator in the room, you can ask the questions. Joseph, Robert, and I'll sign off and leave you there. But again, I'd like to leave you with something to think about. If you're not happy with your production, with how much money you have in the bank, with how you funded your retirement, with how you go about getting listings, then I'd encourage you to keep an open mind, schedule a call, and let's look at what would be best for you and your family. Because ultimately, I'll tell you, the number one decision you should make is always to do what's best for you and your family. But I promise this has changed thousands and thousands of real estate agents' lives. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you staying till the end. I look forward to working with any of you who decide that this is a good option for you, that having that marketing agency, that having a platform where you can do listings like that, having the ability to build a revenue share platform, getting assets when you close transactions. If you think that would help you out, we look forward to talking with you, working with you. And thanks so much for being here. Joseph, Robert, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, I can tell you this, Bob. This is the most fantastic program that's touched my business life. So I'm very grateful to be on.
And you've been doing it a long time. So folks, thanks so much. Again, get with whoever invited you to this call, or if you're in the live training, I'm sure they're probably in that room with you. Get with them. We want to answer questions for you. There's no question that we don't want to take. Make a good decision based on fact, not maybe what you've heard, and we'll go from there. So folks, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing day, and I look forward to working with you.